With the Booster Course Pass wrapping up in November, many, like myself, have started to wonder, can we get a Battle Course Pass, which would double the current battle tracks from 8 to 16? Well, just hypothetically, that is the case. We already have 5 out of the 8 laid down, those being 2 Tour City tracks with Paris Promenade B and New York Minute B, GBA Battle Course 1, GCN Cookie Land, and DS Twilight House. But that's not quite exactly 8. Well, if I were to predict the other 3, I'd say maybe we'd get N64 Block Fort. As if we don't get that, people would riot. And Block City from GCN was actually data mined for Tour, but was scrapped, so we're probably not going to get that. Or maybe we will. But the Rolling Chain Chomp was data mined for Tour. Name me saying, what am I talking about? Well, that is used in the Wii battle stage of Chain Chomp Wheel, and I think that would be great to see in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Not because it's my favorite Wii tracker at all, because it isn't, but it would be really interesting to see. And for that other one, I got no clue. If I were to guess, I'd say a new battle track. Completely new and made up from scratch. They've done this with some of the DLC tracks, say Sky High Sunday, Yoshi's Island, and technically Squeaky Clean Sprint. But I'm talking like not even in Tour. And they don't release it for Tour. But if they don't do that, is it totally out of the question to think, can they give us a third Tour City battle track? Well, let's go over the current Tour City tracks that do not have a battle variant. And with the current tour, the Summer Tour, releasing the 14th city track being Madrid Drive, and only 2, Paris Promenade and New York Minute, getting a battle track, that leaves 12 without one. Vancouver Velocity, Los Angeles Laps, London Loop, Berlin Byways, Rome Avanti, of course, Madrid Drive, Amsterdam Drift, Athens Dash, Singapore Speedway, Bangkok Rush, Tokyo Blur, and Sydney Sprint. Out of all those 12 battle tracks, or racetracks, I should say, I obviously think either or one of them is more likely than another. So, which tracks will go to the more likely stage, the second stage, if you will, and which ones are so unlikely I think they'll stay in this first round? Those being Los Angeles Laps, London Loop, Madrid Drive, Rome Avanti, Athens Dash, Bangkok Rush, Singapore Speedway, and Sydney Sprint. The reason why I say all this is because it's way too, I don't know where they would put it for a battle track. But then again, New York Minute doesn't have the most exact layout, meaning that, well, probably no one could have predicted that, but I just don't think these ones have any chance. Rome Avanti's and Madrid Drive is purely for the reason that they were just released too recently. And onto the second stage, we have Vancouver Velocity, Berlin Byways, Amsterdam Drift, Tokyo Blur, and yeah, that's about it. Before we eliminate more tracks, why do I think these tracks are deserving of this status that I put them in? Well, for Tokyo Blur, I think this one is the most obvious as why I put this through the second round. Just like Paris Promenade and New York Minute, this was a tour track released in 2019, making it one of the oldest ones. It also has 4 different variants in tour, just like New York Minute, although the 4th variant is a combination of the 1st and 3rd, so make of it as you will. But Tokyo Blur may not have the most specific layout, but I'll get to it in a bit. Vancouver Velocity, I think the hockey track would be great to battle on. But I do think it would have to be either expanded or have little routes outside where you could also battle in, and then swoop into the hockey route, but we don't know if Nintendo would do that. Berlin Byways, just because I think there's just multiple different areas where they could make it a battle track, and maybe they could even combine them all, but I'm not really sure with Nintendo. And Amsterdam Drift, purely because of the reason that it looks aesthetically pleasing and doesn't clash with any other battle track, which could also be a reason why people wouldn't pick it to make it this far. And that's why I've picked this track and also Berlin Byways to be eliminated. I do not think these tracks will get a battle variant in Tour, leaving it just down to Vancouver Velocity and Tokyo Blur. So let's focus on the negatives of these tracks. Both of them don't really have specific layouts, and Vancouver Velocity is a little bit less, expansive, which where they could pick. They could probably open up the two areas leaving the hockey route in variant 2 and variant 3, or lap 2 and lap 3 in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and have the outside portion of which be also part of the battle track, which I guess is Vancouver Velocity's most likely opportunity of getting in as a battle stage. Whereas Tokyo Blur, it could put wherever. The entire third lap could be used as a battle track, or they could cut some of it off and just leave it down to where the area where the thwomp is, and also the area just before the glider. But have the area just before the glider swoop around and meet where the thwomps is. I don't know if you guys are visualizing what I'm also visualizing, but hopefully you get the picture. Enough chit chat. We're almost 5 minutes into this. Which one do I think will get a battle variant in Tour, if they are going to get any? I think it's tough, but I genuinely think it'll be Tokyo Blur. The signs just point to it. A 2019 tour track with 4 variants, it just makes all the sense. You may say, why would they add that thing around that loops it to the thwomps? Because Nintendo wouldn't do that with the track. They opened up a variant in Paris Promenade. They did it with Paris Promenade. They did it with New York Minute. Why can't they do it with Tokyo Blur? And now I guess I could just be overhyping this, and who knows, maybe we'll get freaking GCN Block City back, but I doubt it. I think maybe the only chance we get an 8th track is, of course, Block 4 and Chain Chomp Wheel, and this track. Now, I wouldn't mind if it was Vancouver. As a Canadian, I would love if it's Vancouver, but I genuinely just think Tokyo makes the more sense as a Japanese company like Nintendo is.